Good evening, everyone. I'm Preeti from Virtuoso. On behalf of TiE, I welcome all of you for today's My Story session with Mr. Monish Darda, co-founder and CTO, Icertis. May I now request Mr. Ajay to take it over from here.
So, I think the weather that we see in Pune today is more like what entrepreneurship environment is all about, right? So much of uncertainty. You don't know if it's going to rain. You don't know if it's going to be sunny day, right? You don't know when you get out of the house, what are you going to really land up with. And I'm sure the attendance at today's session is impacted because of this entire environment. But, kudos to all of you all, who's really taken off that time and braved all the weather elements to have made it here. I think it speaks volumes about your commitment towards your own progress and your growth, right? So before I really start the session, I want to really have a quick question to the audience out here. And one disclaimer is that the questions that I'm going to ask don't apply to the speaker for today evening, right? So don't count him in that, right? So first question to the entire audience, right? How many people do you know within the circle of people that are known to you, right, directly, who have gone to the US for their further studies? Can you put up the hand? How many, if you know somebody who's gone to the US to do their further studies, anybody you know, in friends, families, colleagues, a lot of people, right? Okay. Now the second question is, how many people you know who completed their studies in the US, but immediately after that came back to India to do something? Okay. The field got considerably smaller right now. I could see only about 5 hands. How many of those people you think went out and established about 5 odd companies, in a row, serially put together? Any show of hands? Okay, 1 hand coming up. Good. And I assume that's not the main speaker, right? Okay. And the last question then after that. How many of those people were able to have a company listed on the NASDAQ? Okay, 0 hands, right? And that's what is really what today's My Story session is all about. We have today as our main guest, right, Monish, and he is the person who's achieved all of the above and much more. And today we are here to really understand his story, what really is it that he's really achieved. I mean, not only in terms of establishing IT services companies, right, but also in the area of establishing very successful product companies, which is a very, very difficult task to achieve on both the ways. So with that, I'd like to invite Monish. Monish.
So I think Ajay gave me a glowing introduction, right? So I shouldn't have to speak after that at all.
So I'd like to start off with a quote by Warren Buffett, right? It's a very interesting quote that he says, he says, I get to do what I like to do every single day of the year. Right? And I think in some ways this is really a descriptor for you, Monish, if I'm not wrong.
Well, I wish it was true.
Okay.
It's 365 days, I think there are 5 days where I really hate.
Okay, that's it, 5 days, right? 360 days is still something that
is absolutely. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today.
Okay. So I think it would be good for the audience to really start off with having an understanding of your current business, Icertis.
Sure.
So I think it would really benefit them to tell them what do you do in your current company.
Absolutely, and with pleasure. Right. So it was interesting. I'll give you a small bit of history. I was in 2008. I was a part of a company called Logic, which got acquired by BMC Software, and Samir Bodas, who is my co-founder and CEO. He was the CEO of a company called Aztecsoft, and he sold Aztecsoft to Mindtree. So the same year, 2008. Okay. So and my third co-founder was actually went to school with Samir. So when he used to come over and meet us in our office, and we met each other socially, and we started thinking, what next? Because both sold our companies or our companies we were part of. We said, what next? So the one thing that came up was, Seattle has 2 of the 3 public cloud providers in the world, right? So there's Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. Microsoft and Amazon are located in Seattle. So we said, hey, of course, cloud becomes kind of a no-brainer. And especially the weather in Seattle is very conducive. It's always cloudy. So we said we definitely have to do something about that. So that was one thing that we had in mind. That's it. And we said, yeah, we should start our next venture, and that's how Icertis happened. What we do in Icertis, we started off with a vision which said we want to be the leading providers of enterprise solutions in the Microsoft cloud, which was very interesting. And there were two things interesting about this. One was enterprise. Typically for a startup, the enterprise market is the hardest to crack. The second one is Microsoft, right? We thought we wanted to have a differentiator, definitely wanted to have a differentiator. We thought this would be a very good differentiator for various reasons. One is go to market, a small startup trying to sell into the enterprise, especially enterprise solutions, you need to have someone at the back, right? And we chose Microsoft. It was interesting in a couple of other ways. One was when you're looking at the cloud overall, we saw, hey, the adoption of the cloud is going to happen. It's a tsunami that is not going to stop. But in the enterprise, it's going to take time. And it's going to take 5, 6, 7 years till you actually get to a level where you say, hey, this is a no-brainer. So we thought, what was the easiest thing that enterprises would typically adopt to go to the cloud? What would be typically the first steps? And we said, hey, ERP surround, the space where CRM and ERP kind of do not connect. There's a big white space there. Right? So anything that works in that white space is something that the CIO is going to say, hey, I can adopt this quickly. I don't care if it goes to the cloud. My security kind of concerns are much less. They're of course there always with enterprises, but at least they're not going to be that firm. Especially if you go show them the right ROI, it's going to be a simpler step for them. So we said ERP surround. We chose that as our area. We happened to meet someone at Microsoft who said, you know what, I have a problem that I want to solve, and it happens to be managing my contracts. And being in Microsoft, Microsoft actually, just if you look at the non-disclosure agreements that they do per year, right, that goes to more than 120,000. Right? So he said, I own that piece, and I don't have a solution. Right now I have a SharePoint site where we put all of our documents and forget about them. Very tough to search, very tough to remember, who had who, very tough to eliminate duplicates. Are you interested? And we said this is right down our alley. All our thought process so far has been ERP surround. This is exactly, that kind of fit.
All the ducks lined up.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So that's how we ended up building our first product, right? So Icertis contract management is our flagship product today. We have customers in Europe, we have customers in the US, we have customers in India. My most favorite customer, I don't know how many of you are soccer fans here, football, Manchester United, EPL. Anybody here? Okay, not too many. Right? So I don't know if BWin Party will resonate with you. They're one of our customers. They're the second largest online gaming company in the world. And they do something that I really love, which is poker. And of course they were sponsors of the EPL a couple of years ago, and you can still see their logo in some of those EPL matches and on Manchester United jerseys. So we have pharmaceutical companies, we have IT companies, IT services companies like KPIT, Mindtree, Microsoft of course, that was our first customer. We have financial customers, there's a customer called Janney, Montgomery Scott, they manage more than $60 billion in assets in the US. Traditional East Coast financial company saying, hey, we are okay to put our contracts in the cloud. That was something. That was a lot of selling, that was a lot of kind of convincing as well, but it's been a very interesting situation. So that's what we do, from a company perspective. We also have 3 other products. So the vision we had at that time was enterprise solutions. We said, hey, each of these segments are probably good for about $20 to $25 million. So you think about contract management solutions, companies that have actually grown with contract management have grown to about 20, 25 million. And we said if we have like 4 or 5 products that can take us to about 100, 150 million, that's what we're looking at. So we, after that we added Icertis Public Transport Management, which manages public transportation operations. Then we added Icertis Transportation Management, which is cargo transportation. And then we broke out part of both of those transportation fluids into another product called Icertis Fleet Management.